Hello, welcome to our another Bayside cooking video. Today we are cooking sausage rolls. So I've got my bench organised. I've got the stuff that I need, and we're making beef sausage rolls today. So I've got 100 grams of beef mince here. I've already got my grated carrot and my finely chopped onion. I've got some breadcrumbs and I've got some seasoning. So with my bowl, I do want a kind of biggish bowl here. I'm going to add my grated carrot. So that's 1/4 of a grated carrot. If you didn't have carrot at home, you could probably use something like zucchini. You could probably use something like eggplant if that's what you had. You know, you could substitute for different ingredients if that's what you wanted to do. This is 1/6 of an onion, so that is quite finely chopped, so make sure you do need it to be finely chopped, otherwise it's not going to hold very well together in terms of making our sausage roll. To that, we want to add a tablespoon of breadcrumbs. So this is going to help stick it together. If you didn't have breadcrumbs, you could probably use maybe a little bit of flour. You could use a little bit of cooked rice would probably work. You could use rolled oats. If you didn't have breadcrumbs, you probably could avoid it altogether, but it will help it stick together. The other thing I'm going to add is some herbs. So I've got mixed herbs here. If I was at home, I would probably use some rosemary or oregano from the garden. You could use chili, you could use, you can use anything that you want really. I've probably got about 2 or 3 teaspoons here, so quite a lot. We do want, that's our only flavouring ingredient. So, you do want to be a little bit generous with that. I'm going to pop a little bit of salt and some pepper in. So sort of just a pinch of each. And we just sort of want to make sure this is going to taste good. So we've got mixed herbs. You could be adding Worcestershire sauce. You could even add a little squirt of barbecue or tomato sauce. That often adds a bit of flavour to our mince. You could add chili. You could add, there are heaps and heaps of different things that you could add here. If you really wanted to change things up, you could probably make bacon and cheese sausage rolls. So you could add those ingredients in. If you didn't have beef mince, you could use pork or lamb or chicken or turkey. You can just substitute away. So it's really easy to make lots of different flavours. If you didn't want to use meat, if you wanted to make a vegetarian version, you could probably do spinach and ricotta. You could do maybe a pumpkin filling. There are heaps of different things that you could do. So just maybe research away some recipes if beef mince is not for you and see what you can come up with. What I'm doing now is I'm just mixing this together. So just using my hands, I'm just combining these ingredients. And as I'm doing that, I'm finding that it's not sticking together. That would be because I haven't added my egg. So for this quantity, I need about half an egg. So that's half an egg there, and that's just been whisked in that ceramic cup. So when I start mixing now, because I've added my egg, that's going to work a whole lot better, and I can see that. Now this is sticky and slimy, that is okay. We're going to pop it in the oven. So I've got my oven preheated. And at about 180 to 200 degrees. Now my puff pastry, that's defrosted, so you can see it's quite soft and pliable, which means I can work with it. With my mixture here, I need to kind of stretch this out, make it into a sausage. It is quite goopy. I'm sure you can see that on the screen there, but that's okay. It's all going to sort of cook up, and going to be a really delicious sausage roll. That's going to be quite delicious. So I've got my puff pastry. A trick to rolling puff pastry, sometimes we find that it sticks to our bench or our chopping board. The blue plastic stuff helps us. So that's why I've left it on there. What have I got here? Probably 2 centimetres on one side, and I've got maybe 4 or 5 on this side. So with the tight side, with the one I've just got a little gap, I'm going to roll that over. Sort of form it around the mince there, so kind of get a nice circle shape. And as I'm going to pull that plastic back. So what we want is a little overlap. So I've got a little overlap of maybe 1 centimetre or so. sometimes recipes will suggest brushing that with egg or milk or even water. You can do that if you'd like, but I'm finding that I've got sort of enough moisture on here that I don't need to make that happen. Now I'm going to use the plastic as to its advantage again. We've got it here, we might as well use it. Because sometimes what happens is that when we're chopping it, it sticks to our board and we don't want that to happen. Now, depending on what sort of function you're doing depends on how many sausage rolls we want to make. Now, the recipe here says 6 to 8. Let's go with 6, so they're going to be quite small ones, good for something like a high tea, and where people can have lots of different flavours of things. So to get 6, I do want 6 even-sized ones. So I'm going to cut it in half first. So just sort of sawing gently to cut through, it's mainly the carrot that we're cutting through. And then I'm sort of going to estimate each of these into 3. So that one's in 3. And then I'm going down this end as well. So I can see that when I pull these up, there's a join on the bottom here, on the base of our sausage roll. That's good. And then we're going to place them on our pre-lined baking tray. So I've got 6 there. Now what I'm going to do, I've got kind of meaty hands here, so I'm going to be a little bit careful about what I touch. This I've already touched, so that's fine. But I'm going to brush the top of these with some egg, and I'm going to get my very handy Mrs. Stanich to help me sprinkle, sprinkle some sesame seeds for a beautiful little garnish. And we might get even carried away, and we might even sprinkle some mixed herbs on top to make it look a little bit fancy.
Wow.
So when we buy sausage rolls at the shops from our favourite bakery, often they've got little markings on the top. Sometimes it's sesame seeds, sometimes it's mixed herbs, sometimes it's different other ingredients, maybe it's some pepper or something else that help us identify what it is. So this is a good identifying factor, especially if you've got a range of sausage rolls that you're putting on a tray. So here we go, we're going to pop these in the oven, probably 20-25 minutes. What we're looking for when they're done is puffy pastry, and we want the underside to be cooked as well. Okay, so 200 degrees, 20-25 minutes, keeping an eye on them. Thank you. All right, so we've just got our sausage rolls out of the oven. They're golden on the top, they're cooked underneath, and they look pretty good. So I've just served them up on a timber board. Tomato, barbecue sauce, you could use a chutney, you could use something else if that's what you and your family like. But they're ready to eat and enjoy.